Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out to you each and every day, it expands our base. I should begin by saying Happy New Year, because this is our first podcast in 2025. But this is a somber and solemn time. Generally, New Year's brings hope and a feeling that things are going to get better. After what happened in 2 terror attacks, 2 that we know about, well, it scares us. What happened in New Orleans on Bourbon Street, unbelievable. Or, on the other hand, maybe completely believable. But do you understand, it also happened in Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel. Again, we don't know all the details, but what we do know is fear of the unknown. The fact that terror can strike and cause a major football game to be canceled for one day, it's going to take place tonight, with intense security, reminds us of the vulnerability of our society to terror. Some years ago, I wrote a book along with my colleague David Dallin called Icon of Evil, Hitler's Mufti and the Rise of Radical Islam. The book was published by Random House in hardcover, by Transaction in softcover. And essentially what we predicted in 2008 when we wrote the book was that terror would grip us again and again and again. You cannot defeat an idea that is promulgated by ISIS or Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran or the Houthis simply by military action. And the thing that is so disturbing is that you can't really prepare for it. Now, let me be clear. Donald Trump last night, the president-elect of the United States, made it clear that he is unhappy with the FBI and the Department of Justice. And he's talking about involving the CIA. Is he happy with the CIA? I don't know. But I can tell you that the undermining of America's defense, and that is the FBI, that is our intelligence services, that is an important part of our being able to battle the idea of terror. Okay, when terror strikes, you can't stop it. We saw clearly with the 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump, that even with the best protection, well, if someone is determined to get you, they will. And that is the story of John F. Kennedy, who on the morning of his assassination remarked to someone that if someone wants to kill me, I don't think we can stop them. It was a moment of irony. I say this to you with some regret, but it means that in every setting, we are going to rely more and more on intelligence, on the police. We have to know that for years it has been our custom in this country not to allow the CIA to become involved in domestic affairs. Donald Trump is talking about leaning on the CIA for that purpose. No, that's wrong. The purpose of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is to provide protection and to do its best, and of course local police forces with whom we have to coordinate. For Donald Trump to level his attack against the Justice Department is astounding to me, particularly because he will soon be the President of the United States. This is something we'd better stop and think about as we enter 2025. We better think about the changes that are taking place. And that brings me to another major change that most people didn't notice. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a defense this week of judicial independence. His claim in his statement is that independence is under threat from intimidation, disinformation, and the prospect of public officials defying court orders. This should scare every American. And certainly it should with an incoming administration which is determined to wreak revenge on its enemies. I say this because fighting terror abroad doesn't mean that we should not be concerned about terror at home. And terror is not just an automobile crashing or a bomb going off. Terror is when American institutions are attacked. Let me remind you, the immunity decision by the Supreme Court should be criticized because no president should be above the law. Roberts has introduced his discussion by recounting a story about King George III stripping colonial judges of lifetime appointments, an order that was not well received. Do you understand that Donald Trump is now readying for a second term as president with an ambitious conservative agenda? And as we know, elements of that agenda, just look at the Heritage Foundation, are likely to be legally challenged and end up before the Supreme Court, whose conservative majority includes 3 justices nominated by Donald Trump and approved by the Senate during his first term. I would remind you that Chief Justice Roberts and Donald Trump clashed in 2018 when the Chief Justice rebuked the president for denouncing a judge who rejected his migrant asylum policy as an Obama judge. I could go on and on. But I want you to understand, I want all of us to consider the fact that a bomb going off or a car being used to cause destruction is a terrible thing. But it's also terrible to think about the implications of an attack on the United States justice system, particularly when the person so engaged may well be the President of the United States. I apologize to you for beginning our discussion in 2025 on this somber note. But what else can you do? You have to talk about what's in the news. And that is, of course, our goal right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. Give me your comments on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course you can email me. And most important of all, I want to thank Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this program. Happy New Year, Gogo. May this be the best year ever. And to all of you, a happy, healthy year. These may be tough issues, tough problems, but we're going to talk about them right here, every day, with you.